So now that we've got a directional idea on the actual name of the brand for this golf archetype case study, I wanted to start to walk through additional layers of that brand framework and brand identity so you guys can start to see how I think a little bit about what a brand looks like when you encapsulate it all. And for me, there's a couple things on the visual element that can come together in this next stage. One is obviously the logo, which is kind of the stamp that can be used in packaging, in photos, in the actual product details itself, that can again start to reveal that vibe and that emotion that you're looking to reveal to your potential customers. Other elements that aren't talked about as often though are things like the typeface and the font. Those have their own emotional vibe that can be revealed to customers that are looking at it for the first time. Again, you can't necessarily describe it, but they definitely generate a feeling and an emotion. Color is another really important one. And I like to use color to really do that pattern interrupt and to kind of break what they typically see on that front page of Amazon. I've used this a lot even with the Heist channel, that like green that you see in the Heist channel and a lot of the branding you see there is meant to look different. It's like not something you see all the time. It stops you in the scroll. And you want to do that same stuff when it comes to color where possible with your Amazon brand. One of the ways you can do this without graphic design skills and without any professional help initially is a tool like Canva. And I absolutely love this because it generates a lot of this for you. It gives you color palettes, it gives you font palettes, it gives you ideas for logos. And so one method, if you're confident enough in being able to piece this together in Canva, is to start to build or even finalize your brand identity for things like logo, typeface, colors that we talked about. I'm going to get into a different video on how to use some professional help as well, but I at least wanted to kind of give you guys an idea on what this looks like within Canva. So the cool thing about Canva, if you come here to templates, they kind of have templates for just about anything. They've got some for logos, which you can go to here. And then another one I really like to use is actually called the labels, which gives you kind of some different options there. So we'll walk through some of this so you can see a little bit about how I piece this together. Similar to the product ideation workflow, some of the stuff can take hours, right? So you kind of might tinker in this for an hour or two and really piece this together. So it can be time consuming, but I'm going to try to do kind of an expedited view here so you guys can at least see some of the thought process. So if I start on the logos, there's really kind of three things I'm looking at as I scan Canva logos. What I don't typically do is just take a logo and then straight up copy it over. I don't think that works as well. I'm looking for a typeface that looks interesting. I'm looking for a color that pops and maybe an icon within a particular logo that I can leverage. And oftentimes I'll fuse all three of those. So I might take the color from one, the typeface from another, and an icon from another, and kind of hybrid them together to Frankenstein my own logo. So I'll just scroll down and let you guys know how I'm thinking about this. First of all, this is where I actually got the idea for the Heist green. So that's just give you an idea on how you can kind of use this stuff. Let's just see if there's any other logos, typefaces, icons. I like the color of that. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. So we'll keep that color for future reference. Let's just see if we see anything else here. That's a cool color. I'll open that up. I just kind of like the pop of it. It's going to be a scroll stopper. This typeface is pretty interesting. Let's kind of open that up for fun and just see what it looks like. So that's kind of cool. And then we can take one of these colors that we like. Copy this. So that's kind of interesting. Just for fun, let's just see if there's any golf templates that we can find here. Go to sports. Nothing too crazy there. Let's go back to the label templates, because oftentimes, even though you think, hey, I'm looking for logo and stuff like that, you might find some interesting stuff here in some of these labels. That's kind of cool. Okay, this is super punchy. Let's open this up. Okay, so I really like that font. So if you remember the Judy example, it's kind of got that vibe, and these guys are really, really successful with D2C marketing, and you can kind of see how they've sculpted it. So like a really poppy color, really kind of bold font. That could be potentially interesting as well. So let's just kind of see what this looks like. Birdie, let's do a cap one. Kind of like the lowercase actually. And then you can have stuff like this. So this is kind of cool actually. I kind of dig this. The color is good, but it's also a little bit, kind of mustardy. Let's just kind of see, let's see what this color looks like just for fun. Yeah, so that's interesting. Let's just go add a page. Do this so we can have a reference. But I kind of like where this is going. That might be kind of decent. The other cool thing about Canva is they do have elements. Let's just see if we find any interesting elements related to golf. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Nothing too interesting there. Then you can actually play around with this a little bit. Again, one of the elements I liked in that other branding was the kind of the X instead of the dot. So let's just kind of put this sucker in here like this, cover it up. That's covered up. Can do that same thing here like that. Let's just see if we can find an X that's cool. So that's one option. Just see if we find any other cool ones. And then for this stuff, you can even start to envision how this may look on an actual listing, kind of looking at the colors that pop, the typeface, and how we can kind of punch that into some of the listing photos or A+ content. So just to have a little bit of fun here, create another one down here, and let's just go for some fun stock images. And I'm just kind of thinking of like the image of a baggage handler at the airport. If we're doing the travel case concept, here's a couple dudes here. Let's just see if we find any other ones. That one's interesting. Like one of the things that we can always imagine is like a baggage handler like beating the crap out of your stuff, right? And I've got these expensive clubs, and this dude's gonna ruin my expensive clubs. So let's just have some fun here, and you can kind of see how this may play out. So you could even have stuff like this, like, you know, I'm just spitballing here, but you can start to see how maybe this typeface, the colorway, the punchiness, all this could all interplay together potentially in this logo concept. So the point with Canva is to identify these inspirational ideas that you can have for your brand template, fonts, colors, logo marks, the vibe of the brand that you're trying to portray. Even if it's not the final logo or brand identity you use, you can take the stuff, working with a professional designer and an actual design brief, and help to sculpt what it is that you want to align well with your brand archetype. Next, we'll show you how to create a brief and submit to 99 Designs to try to get a contest for a logo and other elements of your brand.